So the story began on a Thursday and it ended on a Sunday. And it was a story of life and death, of resurrection from the dead. And I'm not talking about Jesus, although his story goes from Holy Thursday till today. I'm talking about Tiger Woods. Tiger was arguably the best known man on the planet. Even people in China knew who Tiger Woods was. And he was as good as dead. The man fell 3 times. His personal life and all his issues need no further discussion. Tiger dug his own grave. He did, and he'd admit that. His physical, he couldn't get out of bed. Like a football player the day after a game. He's a golfer. They don't hurt like that. And his career as the greatest golfer in history ended. I hadn't thought about Tiger Woods playing in the Masters, to be honest with you. And I'm a reasonably decent golfer. But he was gone. He had dug his own grave. And kind of forgot. Other guys, younger guys, had kind of taken his place. And then something happened. He resurrected his life, faced his demons. I don't know how. That's his life, not mine or yours. But he became a new man, a different man. Woods had an arrogance about him. He was better than you, and he knew it, and you knew it. He was just going to beat you. And he'd make $8 million in a tournament, and you made nothing. He has a steely look to him. Very little emotion on the golf course. But now something had changed. His suffering changed him. And people began to think, you know what? He's not so different from me after all. He had an accident with his car. So have I. A couple times. He made personal mistakes. Many people have. And people began to sympathize with him. And by Friday and Saturday, the Masters began to root for him. That was different than how he... So either love him or hate him. A lot of people hated him. And when he won, people cried. All the newspapers and all the ESPN were reporting how many people, when he picked up his kid, which he wasn't able to do a year or two ago, because his body was so beaten up, that he actually felt happy for the guy. A guy he once hated had so changed his life. And he had millions of people clapping for the guy. You know, he's on top of the world again after he dug his own grave. Good for him. Golf is better when he's winning. People watch. And that's kind of why we're here. Jesus fell 3 times. But it was us who caused the way to the cross. We dug his grave, but he was in it. Listen to the story. Good Friday is well attested to. All 4 Gospels tell us he died on the cross. And the women cried for him. 8 station. And Jesus said, don't cry for me. Don't cry for me. But people see in Jesus something of themselves. The Word became flesh. And just as you began to identify with Tiger, we began to see Jesus did that for me. He went through Good Friday for me, sinner though I am. We dug his grave. And he knew how to beat death. Tiger Woods knows how to beat the other players. If you're going to beat death, you can't write a talk about it. You can't write a blog about it. You don't make a video about it. You can't run around and go over it, under it. He had to meet death head on, face to face. He fought fire with fire. Where did he go? He goes to the garden. Where does the devil work? Always in a garden. Where you think it's good, that's where the sin often comes in. Bad relationships seem to be good. That's why they're tempting. Where did Satan knock Adam and Eve? Right in the garden. And Jesus goes to the Garden of Gethsemane. And he wavers for a minute. Father, if it's possible, let this cup pass from me, but not my will, but your will be done. And where did Adam and Eve fall? From the tree. Go ahead, take an apple. What's one? You can control your own destiny. You can be your own God. Very tempting. And they did. And death entered the world. And Jesus hung on the tree. That's why he had to suffer. Paying a crucifixion on a piece of wood. Because on a tree, man fell. On a tree, man was saved. But now, Now, the tears are different. Someone once said God gives us two eyes. So that when mom and dad die, and I've buried many of your parents, when husband and wife die, and I've buried many of your spouses, from the one eye comes tears of sadness, because you love them. From the other eye comes tears of joy, because you now can hope that they're going to heaven because of what Jesus did for us. The person crying, many people cried last Sunday for Tiger. The only person crying today is the devil, because he's finished. When Jesus says it is finished, he's right. It's finished. Death has no more power over us. That's what Easter Sunday is about. We won. Love is stronger than death. The empty tomb, we just heard, proves it. That candle is very tall. We had 107 funerals last year. That's a lot of funerals, number 2 in the area. That will be very short by the time next Easter comes. But every person we pull up here in a casket will have hope of going to heaven. So will you and I, and we may be among them. Now we have hope of eternal life. Let us stand, my friends.